folks. I'm in my lettuce greenhouse, which is soon to be my second basil greenhouse. Things are a little overgrown. This is the bed that I cut last week. It's growing back a little bit, but I'm just gonna hack these guys back. There's my little slug buddy that I gotta get. The squash plants are like monstrous. Look at this. Look. Maybe I'll cut back some more of these leaves. This is my Eazyleaf lettuce that grew up underneath some bok choy and struggled. And so I'm going to cut a little bit of this, but some of these are bolting to seed. This one is now bolting to seed. A few of them aren't. This one is really pretty. Look at that. So pretty. And this one right here was already bolting to seed last week. And now he's making like the tallest flowers in the whole world. This Eazyleaf lettuce, the burgundy and the Eazyleaf, both came up more quickly than the Hampton and the Brentwood. And so they're much farther along. Note to self. But I need to remember this. Okay, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna plant the burgundy and the Eazyleaf on this end. La la la, by the door. Okay, that door. And then I'm gonna plant the Hampton and the Brentwood starting over at that end. By that far door. Bok choy is getting really big over here. Shading out my lettuces that are planted underneath. Just a close-up of what I've got going on here. This is a bed of Salanova lettuce. It just happened to be mostly red. I used some old seed. I didn't know quite what it was. And I do have a few green in here, quite big. And on this side, this may be next week, I've got the Eazyleaf variety of lettuce, and it had a hard start trying to grow underneath the bok choy. And it's kind of fluffed out quite nicely. So it's not really a fair trial because these guys had to struggle a little bit. But I do kind of prefer the Salanova. I don't know though, these are awfully pretty. And then my little green guys over here. Oh, I'm already getting some flowering from these. So that's interesting to see. There's a little tiny shrew, I think it is. Buddy, don't you know how to get in and out of here? Okay, that's how he gets in and out, I think. Okay, so I cut back all of this red. I grabbed one of the greens, but then I decided, you know, they're bolting to seed. They might be a little bit bitter. There's not too many available. So then I got this beautiful red here. And of course I didn't grab any of these happy fellows. And I got a fluffy patch here. This shouldn't weigh very much. Not very dense. But yeah, I got a lot of lettuce out in the garden. So I don't need too much from in here. Before and after. I was able to get 72 in this bed, and 70 came out of the other tray. So I watered the basil in because the soil was just a little dry, and even though I bottom watered the basil in their trays, the blocks were a little bit dry too. So hopefully they settle in all right. I cannot tell you how happy this greenhouse makes me. It is so cheerful. Yeah, I was gonna go out and harvest lettuce out in the garden, but we got this big downpour, so everything's out there is kind of wet. So I'm just gonna wait on that. I forgot to say that in addition to that little, what looked like a shrew, which supposedly eats slugs, I saw a toad in here too, which is the first time I've ever seen a toad in this greenhouse. I always see them in the other greenhouse. And this greenhouse in the past has had a lot more problems with slugs. So I'm hoping maybe this summer the shrews and the toads will eat all the slugs. Here's how my first patch of basil is coming along. Dudes, I think I'm gonna have basil next week. This is getting pretty big. So this is my orach patch, my only healthy orach patch. Hopefully that wasn't too much of a pruning. Got a little sack of orach here. I've got everybody weeded in here too. Okay folks, so that orach is going to go in with my lettuce mix, which will include the baby chard and the lettuce that I'm going to be harvesting out of the garden next. Problem is this week is a holiday week, and so the 4th of July is tomorrow, which is a big, huge holiday in our town. And so I don't know how many orders I'm going to have coming in. I put out the notice for the online ordering platform tonight, and that goes through tomorrow afternoon, you know, when people are just going to be busy having fun. And this is the week to eat pie and cotton candy, and so I don't know how much interest there is going to be in vegetables. So that's going to make it kind of challenging to decide how much I need to harvest, because sometimes people's orders come in right at the last minute. Yes, so that's the deal. I'm going to start harvesting a little bit out in the garden. I am looking at the baby chard bed. I've got mizuna in here and spinach. The mizuna, I'm sure you can't see it. It probably could be even picked now. The spinach should probably be ready next week. This is my second batch of baby chard, which could be picked. This is a bunch of it that I didn't get the last time. But this is getting pretty big here. This is my first batch of baby chard that was cut once. And let's see. You can see some leaf. Let's see, are there some leaves in here where the tops were cut? Here we go. Where the tops were cut when I, harvested the first time. But I can just discard those. I think that there's a lot of good leaf in here. So let's see what I get. Okay, so I've got this 10-foot bed clipped back. I've been snipping right down at the base, like the first time when I harvested, using scissors instead of a knife. And I've got my tub here. Yes, I have a shirt on my head. It's because my hat otherwise falls down on top of my ears. I'm gonna need to pull these weeds before I'm done with this. But I wanted to talk a little bit about chard in the lettuce mix before I forget. I want to remind myself. So I'm doing 10-foot sections, and really that's too much for the amount of salad mix I'm making. I really could get away with just 5 feet. And it'd really be nice to do like 3 5-foot sections, because by the 3rd week, the chard has grown big. And I used to not like that, but I think that's the better way to go, because then I can clip it right down at the base. And whatever, bad leaves that were partially cut, they grow up and I can just discard them. And then, I can just keep the other leaf, and that's really not that hard. And so I kind of like to do it like that in the future. The thing about the chard is that it doesn't tend to bolt like the spinach. And so I can keep cutting on this all through the season for the most part. It might be nice to have like a second succession of 3 patches that are a little bit fresher later on. So I need to think about that. But yeah, maybe a few plants will bolt and I'll pull them out, but it's not the same as the spinach. The thing about the chard, it's a little bit of a stronger flavor, maybe a little bit of a tougher leaf than the spinach, but it still works fine. And if I'm just using a little bit in the salad mix, just to put some color in there, I'm not intending it to be like a main ingredient like I have used in the past. And so this is a lot of material for the amount of salad mix I'm making. So I really just don't think I need that. Anyway, those are kind of some of the thoughts. I am liking using the scissors instead of the knife, because what I'm doing now, the other downside of letting the leaves grow big is that their stems get really tall. And so if I cut them right at the base, I can just kind of settle them in and then clip off the stems. You could say, we'll just leave the stems on, but they are a little bit of a stronger flavor. And also they kind of just like poke at everything when they're in the bubbler, the greens bubbler. And so using the scissors has worked out pretty good. I think that's everything I wanted to remind myself. If anybody else is using baby chard and lettuce mix, maybe that would be helpful to you too. I'd be interested in what people are using in their lettuce mixes. If anybody is on here who's doing lettuce mixes, and any thoughts on what baby greens you're using. This end of the bed has been particularly weedy, so I just pulled it weeds out by hand and then ran a hoe through it. All of these beds here at this end have been particularly weedy. Sometimes I think, wouldn't it be nice just to, be able to yank it out and run a rake through it, and then just jang seed some spinach and have enough space to be able to kind of keep some successions going. But yeah, it takes a lot longer for spinach to, go from a seed to being a plant that's ready to harvest. Whereas once I've cut this back, it comes back pretty quickly. So although it is interesting because spinach does go from seed to baby leaf sooner than the chard does. But again, once the chard is established, it's cut and it comes back fast. Taking a look at the lettuce patch, I have my first 2 batches from this bed. I cut the inner 2 patches first and then the outer 2 patches after that. As you can see, I probably could have harvested this lettuce last week because it's really big. So this is regrowth from that first cut. And then this is kind of probably what it looked like last week. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe it did need 3 weeks before it was ready. Let's take a look at the red. Sometimes the green grows a lot faster than the red. So this is the red, and yeah, it's maybe not quite as big as the green. So I have a ton of lettuce here, and I just probably don't need this much. So I've got a lot of red from the greenhouse, so maybe I'll start cutting in the green first. I got this last section here. Been leaving quite a bit of leaf, but sometimes the outer leaf has, kind of some brown tips and stuff, so it doesn't really matter. I don't need that much anyway. This is my last tub. So my plan was to just do 2 cuts on the lettuce and not try and do a third one, because in the past it starts just getting pretty cruddy by the 3rd cut. And I've got a lot of lettuce because I planned for being able to do, I'll have 6 successions planted out here initially. And right now I've just got lots of lettuce and lots of lettuce coming in. Normally I would then cut back the lettuce like I did in the greenhouse, with some cutters. And I think though what I'm going to do is go ahead and just yank these out by the roots, because I'm thinking that maybe I'll seed some spinach in here. And so I don't want to be running into roots with the jang seeder. I just finished rinsing the lettuce mix, and normally I've been harvesting greens, but because of the holiday, I have no idea how many orders I'm going to get. I opened the ordering online platform until midnight tonight. Normally it's 6 p.m., but I opened it till midnight tonight in case somebody gets home after celebrating is like, oh shoot, maybe I need some veggies. Anyway, it's been sunny all day, but it's just become overcast. Perfect for transplanting. And I have my sixth succession of Salanova lettuce to plant in this patch right here. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So I just need to yank out this spinach I left the spinach in here because I was kind of wondering after I cut it the first time, like, how would it grow back? But it definitely just automatically bolts to seed. So anyway, now I know. Get this out, plant the 6th succession of Salanova lettuce, and I think be done tonight. I've got, I've just seeded another batch of Salanova lettuce, and I'm going to do one after that. Those will be kind of like later plantings, after I rip out this whole bed here. I think I might be able to get some spinach in there first, but then later I'll plant Salanova. That's the plan right now anyway. Okay, here I go, going to work. Oakley dokley, finished. I've got my 4-row gritter, and I normally get 60 of the green and 60 of the red, but I'm a little short on space, so I've got 56 of each. It's going to be a little dry and dusty, so I think I'll water these guys in. I went ahead and hoed my latest planting. Got that all neatened up. I guess it'll be past the 4th of July when this comes out. So happy belated 4th of July. Salad mix bagged up. I've got 3 tubs of 8-ounce bags. That's 24. And that's about all I sold last week, so I don't think I'll sell that much this week. Plus I've got my 3-pound bag for the restaurant, and then I just bulked up 2 pounds. So we'll see how this goes tomorrow. So my bed of chard has really bounced back. Whoa. From the pruning that I did last week while I was getting the clover and weeds out from underneath. Look at these big beautiful leaves, and I'm not yet seeing a ton of slug damage, so yay people. So I've been seeing a few of these moths in the, well, actually there's 2 of them there in the green. So I imagine, whatever was in the soil is probably hatching, but there won't be a bunch of moths coming in. Right now I'm pulling from that near bed of garlic to get the garlic scapes, just to kind of see how much I can get out of them, get these counted up. Okay, so one of my bunches was little and dumb, so I'm going to grab another little and dumb one, maybe this guy right here, and add him to that batch. Actually, he's a nice one. Huh. I just went out there and grabbed all the big leaf from 1 row in the 40-foot bed, just because I know I'm not selling that much, but I need to start harvesting and freezing my kale for the winter. Okay dudes, done selling, and I've got 3 buckets of weeds after yanking them out from between the greenhouses. Last but not least, the trays of lettuce that I seeded are germinating, and so I brought them out here to the table. That's Fuzzy and that's Popcorn. Look at him helping me with the weeds. Oh, so good. Kind of cut back the flowering bok choy and search around for slugs. Checked under all the wet logs. So I got a lot of slugs. And then I hoed a bit. Looks like maybe basil next week. Maybe sugar snap peas next week. We'll see. Maybe dill next week. Anyway, talk to you guys next week. Tiniest zucchinis on my zucchini plants.